It's 37 degrees in Stepanager. It's nighttime. It's going to get colder. Our basic core human needs have been taken away by a dictator that the US government and our taxes have supported.
That's Dr. Arakelian describing a dire humanitarian crisis in Artsakh, outside the Capitol building on Thursday. The government of Azerbaijan has kept the Lachin-Berdzor corridor closed for over 50 days, isolating 120,000 citizens and severing essential access to the republic's only connection with Armenia and the rest of the world.
They're not leaving. They're going to stay. They're going to defend their rights, and we will be aligned with them.
Hundreds of activists from the ANCA Eastern region participated in 2 days of meetings on the Hill with U.S. lawmakers, warning them of a second Armenian genocide underway. Activists demanded long overdue sanctions on Azerbaijan and garnered support for bipartisan legislation to break this blockade.
We have a responsibility to fellow democracies. We have a responsibility to people who want the right of self-determination, to chart their own future. We must stand with Artsakh.
Congressman Schiff is a co-author of the upcoming resolution, which also calls for the president's enforcement of Section 907 of the Freedom Support Act and an investigation into Azerbaijan's war crimes.
This violence must end. This dictatorship in Baku must end. This policy of false equivalence must end. Not a penny more for the butcher in Baku, not a penny more.
Meanwhile, alarming concerns were raised by the office of Senator Robert Menendez, a new proposal to sell U.S. rifles to Azerbaijan.
My letter to the Secretary of Commerce, Secretary Raimondo, is we should not be selling any weapons to Azerbaijan because of from my perspective, the atrocities they've committed, the humanitarian situation in Artsakh, and the aggression that Azerbaijan has shown, not just to the people of Artsakh, but also in infringing upon the borders of Armenia.
Senator Menendez has been a loyal and fierce champion for the Armenian community. He's called on the Biden administration to hold Azerbaijan accountable for its aggressions and says Armenians should not pay the price for U.S. interests in the region.
We have to get a variety of countries to ultimately pressure Aliyev so he doesn't think this is one-dimensional only. But we need to lead, the United States, needs to lead the way.
Congressman James McGovern of Massachusetts agrees. He says Azerbaijan's blockade is aimed at ethnic cleansing and that tough sanctions are long overdue.
Turning a blind eye to atrocities, turning a blind eye to brutal governments doesn't do anything to enhance U.S. national security interests. What it does is it just, gives cover to a brutal regime that, quite frankly, cannot be depended on to be an ally of the United States anyway.
Congressman McGovern, who represents Worcester, home to one of the oldest Armenian communities, called for the recognition of Artsakh during the 2020 war.
I still believe in Artsakh sovereignty. I mean, I still believe it's an issue, and again, hopefully, as we bring this resolution to the floor, that these are some of the matters we can talk about. It's not just the blockade, by the way. I mean, there's a whole. We need to have a whole discussion about the government of Azerbaijan's treatment of the Armenian people.
The months-long blockade of Artsakh is impacting the lives of 30,000 children who are suffering food shortages in the cold and reading by candlelight during rolling blackouts. Their diasporan peers, like Aren Shnorhokian of New Jersey and Kohar Karapetyan of Michigan, spoke up for them as the youngest activists on the Hill this week.
I'm happy that I'm supporting Artsakh, and I'm happy that U.S. congressmen are trying to do their best to help Artsakh, and it makes me happy that I'm trying to support Artsakh.
I know it's hard that they cannot get a full dinner, but they at least have each other, and hopefully America will send that message out to stop the blockade and to let food and supplies that they need to help them come through.
Sanction Azerbaijan!
Sarhad Melkonyan is 14 years old. He represented his home state of New Jersey in meetings with Congressman Josh Gottheimer and Rob Menendez, both co-sponsors of the anti-blockade resolution.
A lot of the congressmen and people we met with were optimistic and saw the issue that was happening, that 120,000 people were on the brink of genocide. And I really, really hope that changes are made, because if it's not made right now, we won't have Artsakh, and 120,000 people will perish.
End the cycle of genocide! End the cycle of genocide!
As genocide looms in Artsakh, these diasporans will continue to pressure lawmakers to stand on the right side of justice.
I am the one and the same as my brothers and sisters in Artsakh. They deserve a life of peace in their indigenous homeland, a life with abundant food, a life in which the sound of bombs going off is foreign and not familiar, a life where generations of boys live past the age of 20 because there is no war to draft them into and prematurely take their lives. Condemning the blockade, stopping all aid to Azerbaijan, sending immediate humanitarian aid to Artsakh, and suspending military aid to Azerbaijan is a step in the direction of realizing this dream.
You are not alone in this. You are not alone in your struggle for survival. We stand today with you, and we will always stand with you.
Reporting for Hairenik Media in Washington, D.C., I'm Leeza Arakelian.